Well, good morning, guys. It's an absolutely stunning day. Another beautiful, stunning day at the off-grid. I've been staying out here all week, getting all of the spring maintenance taken care of. As you guys know, last time we put in our trophy trout over here at the pond. I'm gonna go check those guys out, make sure they're good. We've also got beaver traps set in the back 40, so I've got to check those every day to see, and hopefully we get some food. And if not, I've got some other things in mind. There's some wild edibles coming up, and we've got some other things that we can eat, some other wild foods. So today we're going to be doing an 100% wild food, all we can catch adventure. You can see there's a big school of them right here. They seem to like that little drop-off point here, or what they're doing is following the shade. So right here, the shady spot happens to be right now. And then as the day goes on, the sun will be behind the trees over here, which makes a nice shady spot over there by the trout jam. But now you can see a good look of how many fish there are. I did see Lois over there, loose Lois. She was hanging off into the deeper spots here, but you can see some of the more medium-sized trout are hanging out over here. And the small ones really blend in, and so they're hard to see. There's one over here in the shallow. I don't know if you can pick that up, but he's just gonna swim off. So here's a nice little drop-off point with lots of rock structure over here. And then that's the aerator working real hard. That's that one there. That solar panel there is in full sun. Look how much air that one blows up. It's pretty impressive. And I don't know if you can see too well, but there's lots of fish. Lots of good, healthy fish. Look at those big monsters. Those are easily 2 footers. We've got a good mixed bag of all kinds of different fish. And then our ducks are where we have suspended our aerator. So we've got the aerator from that one over here, and the other duck is pulling the bucket from the windmill aerator right there, and the other one there doesn't have one at all. There's Lois right there. She's hidden below that one other fish. Oh, would you look at that? The trap's been set off here. All my sticks, everything's all been moved out of the way. So I can only be left to conclude that there was a pretty big struggle that occurred here. And actually, incidentally, I already know why, because I checked the camera. I could not stop myself checking the camera. Actually, I did catch a beaver, but I did not catch it in the proper spot. It looks like I caught it in the hand, which does happen sometimes. And of course that beaver managed to get away. Sometimes you'll catch them by the hand and then they won't be able to get out, but it looks like this stick here prevented the trap from closing, the jaws closing all the way through. This is kind of why you have to check your traps every day. At least I think you should. They are kill traps, so ideally they kill, but sometimes they don't. So that beaver didn't lose his hand and got off with his own life. So anyway, beaver probably just knocked the trap and got his hand caught, and then had all night to fight with it to be able to escape. That's another good reason why we wire our traps down. So that was wired way over here to that big branch. It was going nowhere. There was no way we were going to lose that trap. But if we caught that beaver by the hand, there's a really good chance that that beaver would have taken off, and we never would have found that trap ever again. It would have been gonzo. There we go, we got a live trap now. Looks pretty good there. It's a little bit off center, but that's okay. I'll get that beaver coming in from a good angle here with some sticks. There we go. I think that looks better than the original. Got lots of blocking. A beaver can come from any direction. If he comes from that direction, he's gonna have to swing over to this side here. And I think he's gonna kind of realize that with this stick here. I could probably get it a little bit directed a little bit more here. I definitely don't want him to climb around the other side. So that should do it. If he comes this way, he's got to realize he's got to come through here. Oh, I got one more thing here. We got a giant poplar, which just happens to be growing right here in the swamp, that it just might want to come get. Just a flooded out poplar tree in the middle of the swamp. And then add to the appeal a little bit, get some scent going up the tree. Well, unfortunately that beaver is going to be a lot harder to trap now that it's been educated in a bad way. It's like a fish. You catch a fish once and then you try to catch him again and he's like, oh, I've seen that lure before. Well, he knows that this area is danger, so we'll see what happens. But we got the camera, which will tell us if it visits and doesn't fix, and we'll keep on this. We might have to soldier on even more into the beaver's territory. You can tell we're getting close here because there's a lot more maintenance occurring, and but the lodge, I know it's right there, so I can probably sneak up a little bit more, and I just might have to. You might have to get right up in the dang thing. Now I'm curious to know if like the beaver's spending most of its time here or if he's spending some time up on the other side. But the property line is just around the bend here, so there's only so far I can go. So hopefully I can lure him in or her in or both. Get rid of them because there's not too many poplar trees left. It's really putting a dent on things, but we've got a nice dam break here if it doesn't come in, and then it's not too keen on maintaining its home. We got one more chance at beaver, one more trap to check, and on the way and slightly beyond that spot, there's some sources of wild edibles, so we'll be picking those up on the way. I just scared off a wild turkey not more than 20 yards in front of me over here. Almost seems like maybe it was making a nest right in front of the trail camera, but I don't know. The trail camera was not probably the right height for it. It literally just flushed right out of here. Couldn't get across the creek to get away from me. Seems like it was in here. It's not the best place to be putting up a nest, but who knows? Looked like a hen anyway. We'll check the camera, see what's going on. But that trap's empty. So we're not eating beaver today. We're gonna have to go to our default plan. There's some wild edibles just around the other side. We'll continue on. Check the camera before I go. I'll let you know if there's anything there that's interesting. So every spring there's a sea of green that comes up. Here's a bigger specimen. Actually, we've got the stem here too. But this is not exactly what we're looking for, but we'll collect some of these as well. So this is one of the spring edibles. It's called the trout lily. But we're looking for something else that's a little bit more flavorful and I would say a bit more delectable. If you find these trout lilies, you can eat them kind of like a green, like a salad. I'm not particularly fond on them, but you might be walking in the woods and stumble across them and give them a try. Now, as you can see, there's no harm in harvesting trout lilies because they're literally everywhere. You can't over harvest them, and they're in competition with the leaves overhead. So once the leaves come out, they basically go dormant again. So the American viewers will know this plant as a ramp. We call them leeks. Sometimes we call them ramps, depending on who we're talking to. But it's a slightly, well, I should say slightly, it's a much more rare plant. It's a much more slow growing growing plant, slow spreading plant, slow propagating plant. So this has to be harvested with care. I would say that these ramps are quite late this year. Not for sure why, but if they don't get up and at them, pretty soon they're going to lose all of their sunlight, because the leaves, while you can harvest these all year long, they've got a nice delicious bulb. They go dormant for much of the year, and so you can't find them because you can't find the green stem. And they have a characteristic oniony smell. And while we're at this digging process, we might grab a couple of worms here, bring those back for our trout, toss them in and see what they do. So we'll grab a handful, enough to flavor our fish, and a couple of worms to feed them. And so we'll only take enough that we know that they'll come back healthier next year. So here's our last stop. This plant is called marsh marigold for good reason. You'll find it in marshy areas. It has a yellow flower, but you're not going to see the yellow flower today because we're super early on this, which is good, because this is it's one of the plants that is said to have needed 2 changes of water, primarily probably because it grows in swamp water, right? So you're trying to leach out all those toxic materials. The best way to identify it is based on the location, but you guys got to do your own research. If you find it in a swamp and it has a yellow flower and it looks like this, it's probably marsh marigold. But whenever you're eating new plants, you never know if you're allergic to the plant. Even though I'm not allergic to the plant, you don't know if you're not allergic. So you always want to try and sample new foods with care. I'm not telling you this to encourage you to eat like random mushrooms, but even toxic mushrooms, you know, some more than others require a fair quantity before they become toxic, like all substances. But I don't want to dissuade you or encourage you. I want you to basically be cautious. So you never know what amount it is that will affect you specifically. So this is one that is treated much like a spinach. So it's something that you're going to boil, 2 changes of water, and then saute or fry up like a cooked spinach. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to harvest these 3 plants here. There's 1, 2, 3, all of them, because it takes quite a bit to make enough to eat. And you don't have to worry about over harvesting marsh marigold. As far as I know, it's a plentiful plant. And on this property, because there's lots of marsh, there's also a lot of marsh marigold. So let's get a pretty hefty handful, or a couple of handfuls of this, so that we can all have a sample. See, this marsh marigold receives a lot more sunlight, so you can see how fast it grows. That's why it's kind of key to grab these as early as you can in the season, because they'll make giant palms. And as you know, as I've taught you, when it comes to plants, you want new growth plants, because old growth plants become more and more bitter with time. The new ones put a lot of sugars, a lot of nutrients into the new growth. And then as time goes on, it becomes woodier and woodier. So this is actually prime time for the marsh marigold. Marsh marigold. I always say March marigold, but it does come out a little bit later than that around here. So there we go. There's another additional handful along with all the other stuff we've got. It is a nice spinachy looking plant, that's for sure. Now, I managed to save 2 worms, and I'm looking at these trout and I'm thinking, I wonder how much natural instinct they have left. They've been pellet fed their whole lives, and now we got a couple of worms. Do they have enough sense to come up and grab them right away? Are you guys ready? I think that light colored one actually grabbed it just below the surface there. Throw this next one a little shallower. There's one right there. You guys see him? Oh, he scooched off before I threw the worm. Well, that one landed down below, so the fish can find it later on. I think we definitely need some bigger sized worms for that experiment. I thought about a fun one and getting like hundreds and hundreds of worms and putting them in just to see how they react. But I kept the trout we caught yesterday was a backup in case we didn't catch a beaver. There we go. Good sized one. That's what we want. A nice 2-pounder, 3-pounder. Oh! That is a good sized one. That's perfect. Look at the colors on that guy. That's a beaut. And I just chilled it overnight in the bag here. So that's all ready to go. So we're gonna have some trout and some wild edibles. It's gonna be a simple meal, obviously, but it's what we managed to collect ourselves from nature. We don't need a whole lot. We got the cast iron pan. We got a pot of all our collected materials here. I'm gonna use the Coleman grill I got from one of my favorite sponsors, Princess Auto. Actually, I think I got this from Cabela's Bass Pro, but Princess Auto has all kinds of other different cool things too that I habitually use. If I can only remember how to put this together.
It smells very oniony.
Very oniony. So we're gonna cook that with the fish, which we cut earlier. So you can try that. That's called.
Again, I'm gonna
try it. Gotta eat that one.
I got gum of it. It's gonna taste like gum.
Well, it's probably not gonna mask the flavor a whole lot. So this one you probably want to chew a little bit.
Tastes like lettuce. Dandelion?
It's all right. It's
grass?
It's like grass.
It's like eating grass.
If you ate grass as a kid, it's this.
That's, yeah. After the gum faded, it turned into grass. You just fed me grass, didn't you?
And swallow it. Gotta swallow it. And then, because some people get like an itchy flavor at the back of their throat.
I don't want an itchy
That's
flavor.
what I've heard anyway. That's Sawyer. I think it's Sam Thayer. He wrote a book on this. And I never really found that it had that, but it was never like something super appealing for me to eat, just maybe because there's so much of it around. There's literally lots of it.
I don't really want to, if you're telling me I got an itchy throat, I'm going to swell over and stuff.
No. You got some green teeth though. So it's not offensive, it just tastes like a green.
It tastes like grass.
So you can't do anything with it, you can't cook it. Not that I know anyway. There's a little bulb on the bottom, it's like a little white thing. It tastes like the stem. If you want to try the stem of it, actually here's a bulb here. So underneath there's a little corn stem. A little bit of, I guess, show you guys.
The stem tastes better.
Yeah, it's gonna have more of the sugars in there. But you wouldn't want to spend like 10 hours harvesting, that little tiny corn thing there, right? So you're just gonna get more power from that. So it's a spring thing. It comes up before the leaves come out, because after the leaves come out, it's just got no energy from the sun, so it just kind of withers away and dies. So
I didn't get an itchy throat on that.
No, I didn't. I don't find I got it either. So it's one of those things they're telling people that you got to kind of be careful about the wild foods you eat, because the first time you eat it, you don't know if you're allergic to it or not, and you don't know how much you have to eat before you have a reaction. So eat things sparingly when you start eating them. Just like any modern food too. When you go on a trip, you might have, oh, this is a great food, and then you find out you're allergic to it. Dude, look at that green water coming out. That's a swamp. Obviously some of the plant materials. Can you tell it's green?
Yeah.
Be some nutrients in there, but I don't know. I'm just doing what I was told.
It looks look at the green, look how green that water is.
Yeah. It's like lemonade.
Probably dye stuff with that.
Well, I think this is some of the best looking foods I have ever made. We've got like a pinky rainbow trout, fresh yesterday fresh. We'll call that fresh. Been chilling out in the pond. We've got some wild leeks in there. Look at the color. That's a beautiful color palette. And then the marsh marigold is complete. I just added some olive oil in there. Preferably it would be butter and some salt and pepper. I obviously put some adobo in there, that'll do too. But the butter would pop up that flavor. So I'm happy with that. Kevin went for a run to see if he could find some forks. You actually found some?
Lots of forks, but they... Is that mouse poo?
Ew. Well, hold on, let me like...
Mouse poo.
I'm not eating a mouse poop.
I'm gonna wash it.
I'm still not eating it.
Why?
No.
Why?
Not
I got
eating.
soap and water and everything.
That's pond water. I'm not eating a mouse poop fork off pond water.
What if I use a sanitizer?
I'm just gonna eat this. You can do whatever you want, but you can't put that fork in there. You can't put the fork in the food. That's where I draw the line at mouse poop. Don't even bother, man. Oh, I gotta make you your own plate here.
I'll use a stick.
Yeah, I would suggest you use a stick. Here, you gonna get a stick?
Probably.
Yeah, I still make you a plate. So whatever I serve you, you have to eat.
I'm not that hungry.
Here, I'm gonna cut off. I'll make sure you don't get too many greens there. Kevin's kind of like a little kid a little bit.
What?
Get a leek. Some marsh marigold. I won't give you too many, but you probably have the same genetics or similar genetics to me, so you probably won't die because I didn't die last time I ate them.
We do need a well.
We need some running water and a well.
You could use rainwater.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I think if you use rainwater, it's soap. I think it's pretty darn clean. I don't know.
Rainwater's not as bad as some of the other things, as long as it's not sitting around. My mouth's watering. Are we gonna eat or not?
Now I gotta get a stick.
You've got to get a stick.
There, made a fork.
A nearby stick.
Got a stick.
Okay, what are you gonna try first?
I'm gonna try the.
Try the marsh marigold first, with a clean palate. Oh, you got gum in your mouth still. All right, try a clean palate.
Marsh marigold. This is the marsh marigold?
Marsh marigold, that's the pot herb.
The pot herb that we drained the green goo out of.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay.
Grows in the swamp. That's bitter, eh? Yep.
Yeah. I don't like the texture.
Oh,
It's like green goo.
that
Texture is terrible.
That is not good. Ooh, I gotta rinse my mouth out. Whoa. I have it's making my mouth pucker up. Did it hit you? That's like when that has that much acridity in it, your body's telling you no. So I would say that's I picked a bad place to pick that marsh marigold. That's very marshy.
I didn't like it because it tastes. It went immediately gooey. The taste wasn't terrible.
No, that bit me too hard.
You don't drink coffee though, so that's not. It wasn't terribly bitter. It was just the texture.
Oh no, that's not good.
All right.
No, there's some toxins in there.
Oh, yeah? Well, that's good. I didn't eat it.
Well, like not gonna kill you, but that would make your stomach turn tonight if you ate more of that. So, I guess there's a cautionary tale there. I've had better marsh marigold than that from this marsh, but that was just not good. The leek is like an onion. Well, I see your brain's all getting tricked now.
Well,
So I put the green tops of the leeks in.
Oh.
So anything in that pile is all leeks. So you've got like the
That was
bulb,
a leak.
the bulb leek, and then you're also getting the top. The tops are exactly the same. You cannot tell the difference between
Leek's
the top and
pretty
the bottom. If you like onions, you'll like leeks. Leeks or ramps are like twice the flavor of a domestic onion. Like there's twice as much oniony flavor, so you really need half as much onion, or even a third or a fifth. There's a lot. This video's not done. I want to throw the kayak in the pond still and have a look around and see if the fish are using the trout jam. They seem to be schooling a lot. They're not quite in the trout jam yet, but I'd be curious to see if there's like a school of trout down in there. Well, here's one of the tests of happiness when it comes to a trout. We're going to throw some feed in there and see how they react. If they jump up and they're happy and they eat, it means they're good and healthy and happy, and they eat. See if Lois reacts. Well, Lois did not react well to that food. She swam away from the food. Oh, I see you got a couple takers there. But curious to see, because Clark spent. He never ate, as far as I could tell. That's the original pond. He didn't really react to the food by eating. So that was a kind of a indication that he wasn't super happy. It looks like these guys are gonna take a little bit before they adjust, and then once they get feeding, they'll probably all start to go. Get a little bit of a feeding frenzy going. There we go. See Lois, I just dropped on Lois there. She's out in the middle, but I don't think she fed. Let's see, if we see her come up to the feed, we'll be good. Dropping feed all over her. Is she gonna come up for a feed? Come on. Come on, big girl. They're not going crazy for the feed right now. So, but we'll keep an eye on it. It's only the second day, and they don't know the routine yet as far as like when is feeding hour, how we feed here. It's a little bit different from how they're feeding at the hatchery. Oh, now they're going. There they go. Lois, we're going to keep an eye on her. I think Clark's fine. I don't really see Clark too much. He seems like he's fitting in. Clark spent too, and Lois, loose Lois, she's a little bit moody, I think. So we're going to keep an eye on her. If she starts to feed, I'll be a lot more content. She's turning colors. So she's becoming a lot more beige. She's losing her color. So I'm a little bit concerned with that. So we're going to have to keep an eye on her, see if she adjusts. She came from like drastically different conditions for like the last 7 or 8 years. You know, being hand fed basically, and then sitting in a pretty small container and having tons of good oxygen. So there's probably not as much oxygen in this pond as what she's used to. And there's obviously not as much current, so oxygen is not coming to her, so she has to work a little bit harder. But we'll see if she adjusts. I think that's one of those big ones. That's not Clark Spent. That might be Clark Spent there. All right, let's have a look down below. We got this interesting rig set up here. We got the AquaView on a paint pole. And we're gonna get a live view. We're gonna get right into the trout's faces. I'm gonna get this turned on here. I'll hit record. We'll see if we can see where we can get done, how close we can get, how tight we can get to those fish. There's a trout. There's a trout. Oh, he's a little perturbed. He didn't like that, so he took off. And drop it down a little bit more. Get a little baby trout here. Where's the baby trout? Where are you? There you are, little baby trout. Here we go. Lots of fish. But the main concern is I want to see what happens at the trout jam. Lois is hanging out. She's looking pretty pale, to be honest. Not super keen on that. But yeah, these fish are a little bit startled by that camera. There's a whole bunch of them down there. That's pretty cool. I've got the polarized lenses on there now so I can have a look. There we go. There's a trout. Kind of scared them all off. We'll see if we can find Lois. I'm gonna have to go around to the other side there, but it's kind of cool watching them go. There's a couple of fish. Well, they got a good response to this camera. We don't want them to the point where they're like not startled by the camera and don't have a fear response. All right, guys, let's go around, check the trout jam. Let's see what it looks like over there. It'd be neat to see if there was actually some fish hanging out under the trout jam, but oh, there's a bunch of shallow fish down here. I don't know if they're going to be down there or not. We'll have a look. Oh, there is a fish down there. I think that was near the trout jam. I don't see any fish, but you know what? I'm probably spooking them a little bit. And get a little bit further. Here, that's a full look under the trout jam, but I don't see anything. And but it's a little bit murky there too, so I don't know if I would anyway. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. Whoo, I just startled all the fish, including Lois laying Lois. Loose Lois. Anyway, it's supposed to rain, so I'm gonna retreat and relax for the rest of today. I'll be back again for another installment because I gotta keep these fish going. Here, the windmill's going, the wind's picking up a little bit. And we're going to continue on with the beaver trapping. Hopefully that turns around. So join me in the next video.
Gotta get closer.
Oh, I can't. They're spooked by it.